The space station floated quietly above the blue surface of planet Orvin. It was early morning shift, and John was alone in the maintenance room. Just another boring day in deep space. He sipped his coffee, boots resting on the console, watching. Repair drones fly past the window. Then something strange happened. The main screen in front of him flickered. A red light blinked. That never happened during routine work. John straightened up and tapped the console. Match found. Candidate. Identified, human John T. Carter partner. Zirila, Royal Matching Program status. Initiated. Prepare for bonding. John blinked twice. Bonding, he muttered. What bonding? I didn't sign up for any. Wait, is this a prank? He leaned forward and tried to shut off the message, but it wouldn't go away. The station's AI, usually quiet, suddenly spoke in a calm female voice. Congratulations, John Carter. You have been selected for interspecies romantic partnership. Your assigned mate is approaching. What? He jumped to his feet. The door chimed, a soft, calm tone. He stared at it, frozen. Another chime. Then the door slid open. She stood there, tall, beautiful, red-skinned. Silver-white hair fell over her shoulders. Her eyes glowed softly like the moons outside. She wore a sleek black suit with glowing lines that hummed faintly. Her lips curled into a knowing smile. You've been matched with me, human, she said with a playful smirk. Your romantic duties start now. John's mouth opened. No words came out. This had to be a dream. You must be mistaken, he finally managed. I didn't sign up for this. She stepped inside as if the room was hers. The scent of strange flowers filled the air. I didn't say you did. The matchmaker chose. And once chosen, the bond is honored. On my planet, refusing is a great insult. Dangerous even. John backed up. Okay, Zorla, she corrected smoothly, walking closer. Third daughter of High Matron Velson, and now, your mate. John tripped over a toolbox and caught himself on the desk. Mate? No, I'm not ready for a relationship. I live in a supply closet. Zirila raised a brow. Then we'll get you better quarters. John shook his head, trying to focus. I'm human. I eat toast and freeze-dried noodles. I don't even have a pet. You're glowing. She laughed, a sound like soft chimes in the wind. I like toast. He rubbed his face. Why me? There are a billion humans out there. Zirila's expression softened. She looked at him seriously for the first time. Because you're brave. You fixed a plasma leak with your bare hands last month. Risked your life to save your station. The algorithm saw loyalty, strength, simplicity, qualities we value. John was stunned. That wasn't even reported to command. Just something he did because no one else could reach the pipe in time. I don't even know you, T said quietly. You will? Zirila reached out and gently touched his chest right above his heart. Her fingers were warm, not cold like he expected. The station lights dimmed for a second, then flashed back. Another message popped up on the screen. Bonding. Process. Active duration, 7 cycle status. Escape invalid, monitored by council, escape invalid. John read aloud. Are you kidding me? Zirila tilted her head. This is just the beginning. The trials will come soon. You will be tested, human. Tested for what? To see if you're worthy to stay by my side, she said, turning toward the window. If you pass, the bond becomes eternal. If you fail, well, let's not talk about that. John slumped into his chair, completely overwhelmed. So I'm matched with an alien princess, forced into a romantic program, and if I fail, I might die. She smiled again. Welcome to intergalactic love. Outside the window, small spacecrafts began approaching. Dozens of them. Each one hovered silently, lights blinked, signals flashed. John stared out at them in disbelief. Are they watching? Zirala nodded. The first announcement is being made. Millions are tuning in. You're quite the celebrity now. He buried his face in his hands. This wasn't how he imagined his Tuesday. But deep inside, a small part of him wondered what would happen next. And that part was curious. Very curious. John didn't sleep that night. How could he? A glowing alien beauty had claimed him as her mate, and now half the galaxy was watching. His room once just a dull metal box with a cot was now filled with floating drones, scanning him from every angle. Zarella had taken over his tiny space like she owned it. She didn't even ask. He sat on the edge of his bed, still in the same uniform. Staring into space, Zarella stood near the window, speaking into a glowing orb. Her voice was calm, but the alien language sounded like music mixed with thunder. Every word echoed like a command. Is this some kind of royal experiment? John finally asked. She turned to him, her silver hair shining under the artificial light. No, human. This is sacred tradition. You've been chosen for Saurian Keitha. Bond of two worlds. Our ancestors practiced it for ages. It is not to be taken lightly. John blinked. Bond of two worlds. I just wanted to finish my repair shift and maybe have some instant noodles. She tilted her head. Your life is bigger now. Suddenly, the wall behind her shifted. A holographic screen opened. John's face appeared on it next to Ziralla's. Below were words he didn't understand. What's that? He asked nervously. It's our public match page, she said, quite matter-of-factly. The announcement has gone viral across 3 star systems. Over 90 million views in the first hour. Comments are mostly positive. Mostly, he repeated, his voice cracking. Ziralla stepped closer and showed him the screen. Some aliens were cheering. Others looked ... not so happy. Why do they look angry? She shrugged. Some were hoping I would choose a fellow noble from our empire. Not someone who fixes broken wires and eats protein bars. John groaned. Great. I'm a galactic scandal. Suddenly, his comm link buzzed. It was Officer Rowe, his supervisor. Carter, Rowe's voice said. Tense. Report to the atrium. Now, the council's here. The council? John whispered. What council? Ziralla smiled again. Time to learn about your new duties. John walked through the metal halls of the station, Ziralla at his side. Everyone stared. Some laughed quietly. Others gave him respectful nods or fearful looks. One engineer even saluted Dot in the main atrium. 5 tall aliens stood in glowing white robes. Their faces were covered with golden masks. Ziralla bowed deeply. John just waved. Hey. The center figure spoke with a deep voice. Human John Carter. Do you accept the customs of the House of Velson? John looked at Ziralla. Should I say yes? She whispered, You must say with honor, I do, or they'll be offended. He took a deep breath. With honor, I do. The council nodded in approval. Then your first integration test begins at dawn. Integration test? John asked, panicking a little. Like a quiz. Ziralla answered, more like a ritual, a public display of commitment. You'll walk through the hall of fire. While speaking your devotion, John stared at her. She shrugged. Only if you're lying. His stomach dropped. Later that night, John sat in his room. Well, their room now, while Ziralla unpacked her strange alien belongings. Glowing orbs floated in the air, whispering music. A silver scarf moved by itself, folding into a square and disappearing into the wall. So, John asked, what happens if I fail this ritual? Ziralla looked up slowly. Then the bond is broken. You'll be sent back alone. But your name will carry shame. Across stars. And what happens if I pass? Zirala walked up to him, eyes locked on his. Then we become true partners. In body, mind, ... and soul. You'll never be alone again. For the first time, she didn't smirk. She didn't tease. She looked serious, vulnerable. Even John nodded slowly, heart pounding. Then I guess I'd better pass. A small drone floated near the ceiling, recording every word. The galaxy watched silently, and the real test of love, loyalty, and survival was only just beginning. The next morning arrived faster than John expected. He hadn't slept again. How could he? An alien princess had claimed him as her match, and now he had to survive some kind of Hall of Fire trial to prove he was worthy. His heart beat faster with every step he took through the metallic corridors of the station. The moment he entered the main chamber, his eyes widened. The atrium had been completely transformed. Holographic banners stretched across the walls, each one glowing with images of Zirala and John side by side. Some were stills from their first meeting. Others showed animated versions of them holding hands. A huge platform had been built in the center of the room, and alien news drones buzzed in the air, capturing every angle. "This is insane," John whispered. Zirala stood beside him, wearing a ceremonial robe made of shimmering dark crystal. Her silver hair flowed down her back. Her expression was calm, but her fingers gently brushed his arm. "Are you ready?" she asked softly. "Ready to walk into fire?" "No, but thanks for asking." "It's not real fire," she replied with a small smile. "It's a tradition. The Hall of Fire detects dishonesty. If your heart lies, it glows red. If you're honest, ... it glows gold." "And if it glows red?" he asked nervously. "Be removed from the bond, and probably humiliated." "Oh, great. That's comforting." Before John could think of a way to escape, a loud sound echoed across the chamber. A booming alien voice spoke from the floating speakers above. "Citizens of the Galactic Union. Today, a human steps forward to honor the ancient bond. Watch as he accepts his place at the side of Zirala, daughter of the House of Velson." Then, the floor beneath him moved. John stumbled slightly as a moving platform carried him and Zirala forward. Ahead of them, a large arch glowed with swirling orange light, the Hall of Fire. He leaned toward her. "Are you sure I won't catch on?" "Fire." Zirala looked at him seriously. "Only if you lie." He swallowed hard. The two stepped under the arch. Everything went quiet. The swirling fire-like lights surrounded them, casting long shadows across the floor. It felt like heat, but there was no burning. It's pressure, like someone was watching. From all directions at once, a soft chime rang out. A golden ring hovered before them. It shimmered with runes. Zirala touched it first and began to speak. "I, Zirala, offer this bond in truth and strength. I accept the will of the Matchmaker, and I choose my mate without regret." The ring glowed gold. Then it turned to John. He stepped forward. His heart pounded like a drum in his chest. Every eye on the station and across the galaxy was watching him now. He raised his hand. I didn't expect any of this. I didn't ask for this bond, and I don't understand all your customs." A red flicker. He paused. Zirala's eyes narrowed. "But..." John took a deep breath. "I know Zirala is strong, brave, and more than I ever imagined. And I don't want to insult her, or your people." The fire swirled brighter. "So, if this is real, if this bond means something to you, then I'll try. I'll do my best to understand. And maybe ... someday ... I might even mean the words you want to hear." Silence. Then the ring turned gold. The chamber erupted in cheers. Horns blasted through the speakers. The drones spun wildly as golden confetti burst from the ceiling. Screens across the galaxy displayed the final message: bond status accepted. Match stabilized. Human participant verified. John stood there, stunned. His palms were sweaty, but the fire hadn't burned him. He turned to Zirala, who smiled genuinely this time. Not a smirk, not a tease. You passed, she said quietly. Barely, he replied, still dazed. Barely is enough. Then, without warning, she leaned in and kissed his cheek. The crowd went wild again. Back in their quarters, hours later, John finally exhaled. The trial was over. But something inside him had changed. He still didn't understand everything, but he had felt something. Not just fear, not just pressure. Something real. Zirala sat beside him, removing her ceremonial robe. You did well, human. Thanks, he said. Still not used to being watched by an entire galaxy. Get used to it, she said with a smirk. We have 6 more bonding steps to go. 6. This was just the announcement. He groaned and covered his face. Outside their room, thousands of aliens chanted his name. And somewhere deep inside, a strange, reluctant smile began to grow on his face. John woke up to a loud humming sound at first. He thought it was another system alert on the station, but it wasn't. It was coming from the wall, a deep, vibrating tone that echoed in his bones. When he opened his eyes, Zirala was already standing in front of him, fully dressed in ceremonial armor. Rise, human. Today, your loyalty is tested. Can't I just be tested on patience? John groaned, rubbing his eyes. Because I've had a lot of that lately. This is not a joke, she said, her tone firm. Your next trial is sacred. You must protect something precious to me, without knowing what it is. John sat up. Wait, protect what? From who? Zirala didn't answer. Instead, the floor beneath them began to shift literally. The walls pulled away and the room transformed. The bed vanished into the floor. Metal panels retracted, revealing an ancient alien arena filled with strange plants and glowing runes. John stared around in awe. Is this a simulation? He asked. No, Zirala said. This is the garden of challenge. Nothing here is fake. Everything here has teeth. Teeth? She stepped closer and placed something in his hand, a small black cube. This holds a sacred code from my house, she whispered. Keep it safe. If it is taken from you, the trial ends, so does our bond. John swallowed. No pressure then. She walked away without another word. As soon as she vanished, the lights dimmed. Fog rose from the floor. And then, the beasts came. At first, they looked like shadows. Tall, fast, and silent. But as they moved closer, John could see them clearly, 6-legged creatures with spiked tails and glowing blue eyes. Their skin shimmered like glass, making them nearly invisible. John backed up fast, hiding the cube under his shirt. Okay. Let's think, he muttered. They're not attacking yet. One of the creatures sniffed the air. It took a step closer. John looked around and spotted a metal rod near the wall, maybe a weapon, maybe not. He grabbed it anyway. Stay back, he shouted. The creatures paused. One of them circled behind him. John spun, waving the rod wildly. I'm not giving this thing up, whatever it is. Suddenly, the largest beast lunged. John ducked and rolled, barely avoiding its claws. He swung the rod and hit it across the side. The creature let out a high-pitched screech and vanished into the fog. But the others moved in fast. John ran, heart racing, lungs burning. The plants tried to trip him. Vines wrapped around his boots. One thorn sliced his arm. He gritted his teeth, clutching the cube tightly. I didn't sign up for jungle warfare. After what felt like hours, John stumbled into a clearing. There, standing at the center, was a child, a small alien girl, no older than 10, wearing a faded dress. Her eyes were wide with fear. John froze. What? What's she doing here? The creatures moved closer, but ignored the girl. They still circled him. Suddenly, the girl pointed at his chest. They want that, she whispered. They'll leave you alone if you give it to me. John hesitated. Was this another part of the test? He stepped back. Who are you? The girl didn't answer. She just held out her hand. His heart pounded. Harder. What if this was the real test? Not just fighting, but choosing to give up the cube to save himself. Or trust his gut. He shook his head. No, I'm not giving it up. The girl blinked, then slowly faded away. The beasts vanished to dot. Everything went silent. Then Zirala's voice echoed around him. You chose well. The fog lifted. The arena dissolved. John dropped to his knees, exhausted and sweating. Zirala walked toward him, holding a small crystal orb. Inside it was the image of him protecting the cube, refusing the false offer. You passed, she said simply. What, was that? He asked between breaths. A test of heart, she replied. We needed to see if you could resist fear, pain, and deception. The girl was an illusion. The cube was meaningless. But your choice was real. John lay flat on the floor. I've never fought alien ghosts and invisible lizards in the same day before. Zirala offered him her hand. He took it. She pulled him up gently and looked into his eyes. Loyalty is not just action, it's instinct. You showed both. He tried to smile. Do I get a break now? She smirked. After the next trial. Next. Zirala leaned closer and whispered, that one involves your emotions. Be ready to feel more than pain. And just like that, she walked away again, leaving John wondering what exactly he had gotten himself into. And why, despite everything, he wanted to pass the next test. John sat alone at the edge of the garden platform, staring into the artificial stars above the station's dome. His body still ached from the trial, and a bandage wrapped around his arm where one of those beasts had scratched him. The cube now proven fake, forgotten beside him, but the memory of Zirala's voice still echoed in his head. The next test is emotional. Be ready to feel more than pain. He sighed. That was the problem he was already starting to feel. Something it wasn't just attraction. That had been there from the start. Zirala was stunning to perfect, even. But now, after the fight, the challenges, the way she looked at him after each test, it was something else. Respect, trust, maybe even more. You look thoughtful, a voice said behind him. He turned. Zirala stood there not in armor, not in her battle robes, but in a simple dress. Dark purple, elegant, but soft. She looked, it's almost human in that moment. Trying to figure you out, John said honestly. Have you made progress? He smiled faintly. Nope, you're still a mystery wrapped in glowing fabric. She sat beside him, close, but not touching. The stars above twinkled quietly. Wasn't sure you'd pass the last test, she admitted. Most humans break when they're given the easy way out. I almost did, he replied, but something stopped me. What was it? John turned his head slowly to face her. You? Her expression didn't change, but her eyes, those bright violet eyes, looked softer, quieter. That's dangerous, she said quietly. To feel something this early. Is it? She didn't answer. Instead, she reached into her pocket and pulled out a small ore about the size of a grape. She held it out to him. What's that? Memory crystal? She replied. You want to understand me? Then hold it. It'll show you one moment from my past. Just one. Something I've never shared with anyone. John hesitated. Why me? Because I'm starting to care, she said simply. And that scares me more than any beast in that arena. His hand trembled slightly as he took the orb. The second his fingers touched it, the stars vanished. He saw her young, maybe 6, in a dark garden on her homeworld. She was crying. Soldiers stood nearby, holding weapons. A voice shouted in the distance. A body lay in front of her. Her older sister Zirala reached out, touching her sister's lifeless hand, whispering something he couldn't understand. Then the image faded. John gasped as he came back to reality. Zirala looked at him carefully. She died protecting me, she said. Ever since, my people expect strength, no weakness, no emotion. But you're not emotionless, he said gently. You've just hidden it for too long. Zirala blinked quickly, as if brushing away something invisible. You see now why the bond means more to me than tradition. John looked down at the memory orb in his hand. You gave me a piece of your past, and now, she said softly, I need a piece of yours. John hesitated. His memories weren't as dramatic. No royal family, no wars, just Earth, just quiet days. But maybe that's what she needed to see. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a faded photo of paper 1. Old and slightly torn. This is my mom, he said. She worked at a diner, taught me how to fix things. She always said, love isn't about grand moments, it's about small ones. Zirala took the photo carefully. She studied it as if it were an ancient treasure. I want to believe that, she whispered. That love can be quiet. John leaned a little closer. It can, and sometimes. It sneaks up on you when you're not looking. Their eyes met again. This time, longer. Zirala didn't smirk. Didn't tease. She just leaned in, slowly. No pressure, no command. And their lips touched. It was gentle, soft, brief. But it was real when they pulled back. Neither spoke for a moment. Then Zirala said, You've just passed the emotional trial. John blinked. Wait, that was the test. No, she said with a smile. That was just the beginning of something else. Outside the room, the cameras were still off. No audience, no drones. Just 2 hearts. Beating differently, but now in sync, for the first time since the match began. Neither of them wanted to walk away. The celebration was short-lived after the emotional bond between John and Zirala had begun to form. The space station was quiet. Too quiet, no alarms. No warnings, just ... Silence John had just stepped out of. The bonding hall when he noticed something strange. Soldiers standing still, frozen, as if waiting for something. Zirala noticed it too. Her hand moved slowly toward the knife at her side. Something's wrong, she said softly. Then the air shimmered. A deep hum echoed through the corridors. Lights flickered. Energy pulsed like a heartbeat. And then, a ship appeared out of nowhere right in the middle of the restricted hangar. It hadn't arrived through any gate, it had warped in. Zirala's eyes widened. Impossible. No ship can phase jump inside station shields. John stared as the strange vessel slowly opened its hatch. The design was old, sharp, alien but not from Zirala's empire. And definitely not human. You recognize it? He asked. Zirala's voice dropped. It's from the exiled houses. A royal bloodline thought to be extinct. They were destroyed for challenging the Matchmaker Council. A figure stepped out, tall, regal, dressed in black ceremonial armor that shimmered with red light. And behind him, second figure. A woman, not just any alien woman, another princess. Her skin was silver blue, her gaze cold and clear. She stepped forward and pointed at Zirala. "You have stolen what belongs to us," she said. "What are you talking about?" John asked. The warrior next to her answered with a growl. "The human he was matched with our house first. The data was overridden. Your system cheated." Stepped between John and the strangers. That match was broken. Invalid, he chose me. The Silver Princess smirked. Then let him prove it. Moments later, the council was summoned, the chamber filled with tension. Royal guards from both sides stood at the edges. Drones hovered in the air, recording everything live. Billions were now watching. The council's voice boomed from the shadows. "You claim interference in the sacred bond. Do you request trial by challenge?" The silver-blue princess stepped forward. "No. I request trial by truth flame, ancient law." The chamber gasped. Even Zirala looked stunned. "No one has used that ritual in centuries. It's dangerous. If he fails, he burns." John blinked. "Wait, what burns?" The council responded coldly. "In the truth flame, no lie can survive. If the human harbors doubt, fear, or false love, the fire will consume him. Only a bonded soul may pass unharmed." John turned to Zirala. "Is this another one of your people's romantic customs?" She shook her head. "This one isn't about love. It's about soul truth. If you step into that flame and you're not absolutely sure of Miavus, you won't survive." He looked at her, really looked. This wasn't just about survival anymore. This was about everything they'd built. The kindness behind her strength. The way she had looked at him when no one else believed he belonged. The truth he hadn't said out loud because it scared him. He stepped forward. "Let's do it," he said. The chamber fell silent. The truth flame was no ordinary fire. It floated in midair cold, blue, and silent. It flickered as if it breathed. It didn't burn skin. It burned lies. John stood before it, heart racing. The Silver Princess watched like a hawk. Zirala's fists were clenched behind her back. "Say the truth, human," the council ordered, "and step into the flame." John looked into Zirala's eyes. "I didn't choose this path. I didn't expect any of it. But I've never felt more alive. I've fought for you, bled for you. I've laughed with you, and I love you." Zirala's eyes widened. It was the first time he had said it, and then he stepped into the flame. No scream, no pain, only golden light. The fire changed. It wrapped around John gently, like wind. His eyes closed. When they opened again, he stood tall, glowing from within. A soft voice whispered through the chamber. Bond confirmed. Soul aligned. Truth spoken. The flame disappeared. The council declared, "Trial complete. Bond unbroken. Challenge denied." The Silver Princess turned without a word and walked away. Her warrior paused, staring at John with silent rage. "This isn't over," he muttered. Then they were gone. Zirala rushed to John's side. "You really said it," she whispered. "You meant it." He smiled, finally figured out what I want. She pulled him into her arms. "And what's that?" She asked. "You." And this time, no system chose for them. They chose each other. The truth flame was gone. The challenge was over. And yet, the silence that followed felt even louder than before. John stood in the center of the chamber, the echo of his final words still hanging in the air. "I love you." Zirala didn't rush to him. She walked slowly, every step full of meaning. Her eyes shimmered, not with power, but with something rare for a warrior of her rank. Tears, not weakness. Truth. She stopped in front of him. "You should have waited for the final ritual." John raised an eyebrow. Why? She touched his chest gently. Because now I don't have the words to match yours. He smiled. Then just say what's real. Zirala took a breath. Then another, and finally whispered, I don't just care for you, John. I need you. Not as a mate the system assigned, but as the one I would have chosen. Oh, even if the stars hadn't picked us. John gently cupped her face. This time, the kiss wasn't shy. It wasn't quick. It wasn't watched by billions. It was theirs. When they stepped out of the chamber together. Hand in hand, the galaxy watched in silence. Then it erupted. Across star systems, ships blinked their lights in celebration. From Earth to the far colonies, news headlines exploded. First human-alien bond successful. Royal fleets released peaceful flares. Millions celebrated. But inside the space station, in a quiet chamber, the final bonding rite awaited. The room was ancient, no tech, no screens. Just stone, soft lights. And a pedestal in the center. Zirala and John stepped forward. A single orb hovered above the pedestal. Zirala explained, This is the Soul Archive. It records final matches into our living history. If we touch it together, our bond will be permanent across both our species. Forever remembered. John looked at it. Are you sure? She nodded. There's no going back. We share status, memory rights, legacy. John smiled. Then let's do it. Their hands reached out together. The moment their fingers brushed the orb, a blinding light filled the room, and for a moment they weren't in the room. Anymore, they were standing in a vast space filled with stars. But the stars weren't distant. They swirled around them like living threads of memory. Voices whispered. Visions played ancient bonds. Famous warriors, lost loves, all stored inside the archive. Then a new voice spoke. Calm, female, alien, yet familiar. New bond accepted. Zirala of Velson. John of Earth. Status, shared legacy. A final message echoed. Love has rewritten the law. When they returned to the room, the orb glowed soft gold. The bond was sealed, but far across the stars. In a dark chamber deep inside a forgotten moon. Someone watched the broadcast replay in silence. A cloaked figure, face hidden by shadow, stood before an ancient relic. A console blinked. A voice whispered, The system has broken tradition. The human is now inside the archive. The figure clenched a fist. Then we begin Phase 2. The screen displayed something horrifying. Matchmaker system breached multiple unapproved bonds. Pending genetic hybridization UNLOCKED back aboard the station. John and Zirala sat together under the simulated stars in the observatory. John leaned back, holding her hand. Do you think we'll be normal now? Zirala chuckled. We were never normal. He smiled. Good. A pause, then Zirala added softly. There will be others, challenges, fears, but I don't care. Why? He asked. She turned and looked into his eyes. It's because whatever comes next, we face it together.